Welcome, everyone, to Real Estate on the Up, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the real estate world in Orlando. I'm your host, Kyle Madorin, and on this show, we're all about pulling back the curtain with the unfiltered truth about real estate. We're not just here to sell houses. We're here to provide concierge-style service because everyone loves being treated like a VIP. This podcast is your go-to resource for transparency, integrity, and the knowledge you need to make smarter real estate decisions. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a first-time home buyer, we've got you covered. So buckle up and get ready to move up in the world of real estate. It's time for Real Estate on the Up. Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Estate on the Up. I'm your host, Kyle Madorin. Today I'm thrilled to bring to the mic a real estate pro who pretty much lives and breathes the Orange County market. Please help me welcome Catherine Sawruk Williams, broker associate with Coldwell Banker. Cathy brings a powerhouse of experience. She's described as an experienced broker associate with a demonstrated successful history of working in the real estate industry in Central Florida and around the state. She works both high-end residential and commercial, large and small-scale developments, and investment properties. We're going to dig into what sets luxury and investment markets apart here in Central Florida, what 2025 has brought in terms of opportunity and challenges, and how seasoned pros like Cathy are navigating the changing tides. Cathy, thanks for being on the show. Let's dive in.
Thank you, Kyle, for having me.
It's my pleasure. So I'm excited to chat with you because you have a very, very long, successful career that started quite some time ago with your own brokerage. So let's chat a little bit about your journey. How did you get into real estate?
So I was a graduate of Rollins College, and I finished early, mid-season. And my dad said, "Well, now that you're a graduate, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I haven't thought about it. And I'm putting together my resume to see what I want to do." My background was in English, and I didn't want to go on to graduate school. I hadn't really thought about getting my MBA just yet. And my dad had other plans for me. He said, "Well, Monday, you're going to the Burt Rogers School of Real Estate to get your real estate license." And I said, "Well, I don't really want to do that." And he goes, "Well, you're going and you're taking your mother with you." So
Oh,
my dad had just purchased a property in East Orange County from the Resolution Trust Corps and needed help. So I did the crash course at real estate school in a week and got my state license. This was so long ago that the state only gave the bubble test once a month. So I completed the real estate course. I took the bubble test and passed. I don't know how I passed. And Monday, my dad said, "We'll show up to the office." And he handed me a walkie-talkie, and I showed up to a double-wide construction trailer on 4 sections of property that were mostly undeveloped and said, "Here you go." And that's basically how I started my real estate career, knowing nothing.
kind of tossed you into the deep end like that, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it was sink or swim, and you obviously swum because you have a great career that unfolded. And one of the things that sets you apart is the fact that you really believe in providing a concierge style experience, white glove treatment to your customers. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I think with today's properties, there's so much more that realtors have to do for their clients. And I see it all the time. I have family members that call me and say, "Gosh, my mom has lived in her house for 40 years and it's a house full of things and memories, and I don't even know where to start. She needs to be moved. She has to go either to assisted living or they're moving in with another family member," which I see happening a lot. And it's a very stressful time. Usually, sometimes it comes as a result of an emergency. Sometimes it's just the natural progression of family members having to help one another and make some lifestyle changes. And I see it all the time. People have a very hard time. It's like, where do you start? It's just daunting. And I have people that come to me and they say, "I don't even know where to begin." So that's what I try to offer. On top of it being most people's largest investment. So that's important for them. How are they going to live the rest of their lives with the proceeds from this property? As an agent, I can't sell it full either. So I have to help them to be able to clear the house, to get it ready for sale, to get them the most money. And the white glove service that I provide helps people to do that.
Yeah, you mentioned that, it's certainly a huge financial transaction for people, many times the biggest investment they have. An interesting thing about residential real estate is also how personal it is, how emotional it is because it's somebody's home. Whether they're selling a home they've lived in for years and they have memories tied up there, or if they're buying something that they envision the next chapter of their life unfolding in. And the fact that you take that to heart and you keep that at the core of everything that you do is great, and that's something that we don't hear from many agents is that they appreciate that, and that that's one of their focuses. How did you come about realizing that? Because it's not something that's intuitive for a lot of agents.
And I agree. I think part of it is listening, and part of it is I really care about my clients. The best part of my job, I mean, it's great. I love selling houses and I love looking at amazing properties. But at the end of the day, I give people happiness. They find a new place to raise their families, to downsize. Maybe it's somebody that's raised their family and now they're looking for a place to retire and enjoy recreation in their free time. So I feel really fortunate that I get to help people with these big decisions. And it is a big decision, both financially and emotionally. And
Yeah.
it takes I think it takes a little bit of care to sit and say, "Well, what is important to you and what is the hard part of this? And what's the easy part? And let me do some of the heavy lifting that you don't want to do."
Keeping your customers' needs and goals paramount. I think that's fantastic. One of the other things you do that's unique is you use design services to help increase the value of properties that you're helping your customers sell. That's something not many agents do or even understand. Tell us a little more about that.
So, there were some years that I didn't do real estate and I had my own design firm. And so a lot of times I stay on to help people when they bought a new house, or I may help people listing their house, give them design ideas that will get them a better value for their property. The purple wall that you love, that's your school colors on your master bedroom behind your bed, is probably great when you were living there. But now it's time to maybe neutralize and refresh things in a way that someone coming into your home can say, "Oh, I can see myself living here." And sometimes people, we all like to DIY and watch home shows and
Sure.
Pinterest and all these great ideas, but sometimes they don't translate. They don't translate to buyers. It doesn't resonate with them. And so when we're selling a property, we want the buyer to envision themselves there. And how do we make them comfortable and feel homey and whatever their likes and wants are? As you listen, you can kind of get a sense of what people are looking for.
Do you
And
ever get pushback from your sellers about making those changes? Because when you live in a house, you do make it your own, right? You customize
yes,
it to be exactly how you want it to look, how you want it to feel. But just
correct.
like you said, that's not always what buyers are looking for out there.
Sure. I mean, of course I get pushback and I try to be sensitive to, okay, well, are you willing is there a trade-off? If you don't or you don't have the money to make these improvements, are you willing to adjust the price accordingly? And if you're not, or you're willing to invest some money, then let's see what we get the most bang for the buck. Like I always tell my clients, paint is cheap. Paint is the easiest, cheapest improvement you can do to any property.
Right.
A fresh coat of paint makes everything look nice, new, clean. Cleanliness is a big thing. I always tell my clients it doesn't cost anything to be clean.
That's absolutely right.
And some people are better at that than others, and we have a workaround for that as well. So, um, I uh, I think I'd like to listen to my clients and tell me what is your willingness to do things to help me get you a better price.
Yeah.
And some things you may be willing to do and some you may not. And that's just a conversation you need to have with your agent to see, what do you need to net out of your house? Do you have time? Can you wait 3 months to remodel a kitchen or redo a bathroom in order to put it on the market to get more money? If you have that, then that's a consideration. If you don't and you say, "Gosh, I'm moving and I need the proceeds from my house to purchase another home in 30 days." Okay, well that's a different scenario.
And it's really important to have a professional agent with lots of experience who understands what improvements will increase the value of the home, what people will get back from what they're investing, because you don't want people
Of
spending a
course.
whole lot of money right before they sell unless they're going to get a great return on it. So you mentioned paint and cleanliness, which are fantastic to make sure that the house is appealing as possible to buyers coming through. But what other improvements are essential to maximize a home's profitability that you'd recommend to customers?
I think the areas of a house that people most look for, number one is a garage and storage. I think the garage is the most overlooked room in the house. We tend to just put things out there and pile it up and not make it very neat and organized. And I can tell you the homes where they clean out the garage, if they're willing to invest the money, epoxy floors are the number one thing. People love the cleanliness of the epoxy floors. If you spill something, it wipes right up. It's so nice to bring your new car that you're taking care of into a garage and the floors look nice and clean and shiny. They resist stains, and to have your garage organized and to have the floor looking nice and clean and fresh, I think is a big upgrade.
That's really interesting. And so I know you work a lot in Winter Park, which is a very like upscale community, and that is really insightful that that's something that's important there. And you've lived in that area most of your life, and you attended Rollins, like you said, that is
Yes.
fantastic. You've got such roots in the community. So based on the what you deal with buyers and sellers there, what sorts of things are you dealing with for challenges in the marketplace? Because 2025 saw a lot of shifts in,
Yes.
what was going on between being a buyer's market versus seller's market, things like that. What are you
Right.
seeing unfolded, and where do we stand right now? And then give us a peek ahead to what you see unfolding in the next few months.
So I think that properties that are, let's call them A plus locations. I see A plus locations, lakefront, premium properties are actually commanding higher prices and are selling more quickly than maybe the B properties. Just because there's more of them that are coming on the market, I think that you have to have properties that are appropriately priced in order to get the most activity, or you have
Pricing
to
is
find a way to stand out. People are willing to pay a premium for move-in ready. They don't wanna find the contractors. They don't want to take the time it's gonna the supply chain and the contractors and the time that it takes to make it better. They want it all done, and if you do it well and make it beautiful, people will pay a premium for move-in ready. Just
right.
and it's the unknown. I always say people are the most afraid of going into something with unknowns. Okay, you
Yep.
may tell me to replace the kitchen is gonna cost $50,000. As we all know, it's time and money, right? Everything is time and money. And if you're new to an area, you don't know which contractors to trust or builders or remodelers, then, the $50,000 remodel could turn into twice as much time and twice as much expense. And
Yeah, easily. Yep.
so we know that that can happen. And although we're not seeing the supply chain issues that we were a couple of years ago, it's gotten better as far as window supplies and paint supplies and tile and things of that nature. It's still the time value of money. And if you can make your property look its absolute best, I always tell my clients, let's, eh, and most people have an idea of what they want to sell their house for. They've looked on Zillow, they watch all the shows on HGTV. They feel like they have a good idea of what people are most interested in. And I say, well, let's do an exercise and let's take a look. Let's say you're selling your house for $650,000. I will sit down with my clients and say, let's go on and let's see what other homes in your area are listed for around $650,000. Or let's go 50,000 up and down. So let's go as low as 600,000 and let's go as high as 700,000. And we'll sit down and take a look because I want them to actually see what someone else thinks their house is worth and what they're offering for that same price. And
Yeah,
sometimes
sometimes
it
that's
gives
eye-opening to people. Yeah.
it's very enlightening to them to say, "Oh gosh, that's a really nice kitchen with all new appliances. And mine, I have a new stove, but nothing else is new."
Yep. Leading them on that journey of self-discovery, right? Letting them see for themselves what's actually selling for that price. I think that's a great way to do it.
Right.
Um, Now, in an established area like Winter Park, I know you also deal with homes sometimes that people have lived in for decades, and they're filled with household items and valuables and things of that nature. How do you approach selling homes like that? Because it is sometimes challenging.
It is, and it's really daunting to sellers. And so I typically like to meet them at the house and let's have a conversation. That sometimes a house is filled with years and years of important documents that have been there for 20 years, that have accounts and banking information and personal information. And I'll go through and say, "Look, okay, I can check that box. We have mobile shredders. I will help you go through the documents and let's find the things that are important, and the things that are old, they need to be shredded and disposed of properly for your security and for your family's security." So, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
That's right.
So that's kind of the approach I take with these homes that have been filled with, years of things that have been accumulated and multi generations. And I just say, "Okay, I know this feels like a lot, and we're gonna take it step by step." And I have moving companies, I have auction houses that will pick things up. I work with estate sale companies that will come in and itemize all of the items that family members don't want and have an estate sale. And actually, estate sales are a great way to drive traffic through a home as well.
Right. That's a good trick. Absolutely.
Yes, people love coming to an estate sale, and then they go, "Oh, well, is this property for sale?" And sometimes it's a timing issue. I have people ask, "Well, is it okay if I leave the things in the house before I put it on the market?" And my answer to that is, it depends. It depends. Do you have family members from out of the area that want to come see mom and pa's things that they might want to take? And typically, I find some estate sales have flexibility on timing, and I'll say to some sellers, "Okay, let's give it's fine. It's decluttered and it's nice and neat and clean. Let's give it 30 days. And if whether we're under contract or not, let's have the estate sale company come in so that we're ready for the sale." What if you have a buyer that comes in and says, "I love it. I have to have it, and I have to be in next week." You wanna be ready for those buyers.
That's a great perspective, and that's not something that many agents or sellers realize about estate sales, how great a magnet they can be for potential buyers.
They are. They are.
Yeah. Now, let's change gears for a second because I know another focus of yours is working with real estate investors. And we have
Yes.
investors who listen to the show, obviously, and lots of people who would like to get into real estate investing. So let's chat a little bit about that. I know one of the things that's most important to investors, maybe the most important thing to investors, is keeping the max amount of profits from their investment properties. You have a lot of experience with this. So tell us a little bit about how you help investors maximize their return.
One of the most important ways that we help hang on to our profits, we have a 1031 tax-free exchange is a an ability when you sell an investment property, if it's handled in a certain way, you can defer the capital gains on it. So 1031 rules are very specific, and it can only be done for investment properties. You cannot do this on your primary home. It has to be a rental income property, a commercial property. It has to be a like kind exchange, and it has to be handled by a qualified intermediary. And through this process, you cannot take the proceeds from this sale at any point. It has to be handled, especially by an intermediary.
Right. Yeah, this is a great topic because so many investors may not even be aware that this is a possibility because when you go to sell an investment property because it's not your primary residence, you're
Correct.
always concerned about capital gains taxes. And those
Of
can be
course.
pretty hefty. They can cut in your profit,
Yes.
to a huge amount. And so providing a 1031 exchange opportunity means you can sell, take the profit without capital gains cutting into that, and
Correct.
reinvest it into another property. Can you tell us a little bit about what the rules are for how you reinvest? Because I know they are very strict, like you mentioned.
Yes. Yes. So the timelines on 1031 exchanges is key. If you miss these deadlines, you may have to pay the capital gains. So with a 1031 exchange, you have 45 days to identify a new property. Let's say that you have a duplex that you're selling. If you're going to sell that duplex, you have within 45 days of the sale of that duplex to reinvest the money and to identify another property. So let's say you have a duplex that's $500,000, and that's the proceeds that you're going to be taking as a result of the sale. You can either reinvest it in another property. It can be more than the initial $500,000 investment. It can be less. It can be multiple properties. So there are a lot of scenarios where you can reinvest this money, but you have to identify the exchange property within 45 days. In a lot of cases, you may identify 10 properties, maybe more, because what you don't want to happen is one of those properties isn't what you find it out to be, or it isn't what you want. And so you have to take from that pool of identified properties to place the money. Basically, the money's burning a hole in your pocket, and you have 45 days to replace that money.
Yeah, that
And
clock's
then
ticking away. Yep.
exactly. So, 1031 is music to my ears. When the residential market slows down around the holidays for obvious reasons, most investors are starting to think about, hey, I've got this investment property, and maybe it's made you a lot of money and it's become super valuable, and you want to do something else, maybe something that's closer to where you're living and it's easier for you to manage and maintain, or maybe you just want to try a different investment.
Absolutely. I think that we see that quite a bit here around Orlando because so many people have second homes.
Right.
That's a big deal here. And if we have anyone out there who's listening who's not in the Orlando area, Winter Park is one of the most fantastic communities that exists. I mean, it's storied. You have these big, beautiful lakefront mansions that were built like in the Gilded Age,
Yes.
all the way up to new construction that's still happening here. So it's just a wonderful place to be. And if you're interested in exploring either a place to live or an investment property, Kathy is an absolute expert when it comes to Winter Park real estate. So, Kathy, one more thing I want to ask you about a 1031 exchange. Is there any sort of limit to the amount of money that you can place in that in order profit from one property to invest in another?
There's no limit. There was some talk years ago about limiting the amount of the 1031 exchange. That has not happened. So you can reinvest as much as you have or you would like to do. You just have to close it within 180 days. And the only time that the 180 days may shorten is, and you need to speak with your attorney or your CPA, is when you file taxes, that may shorten the time that you have to do the 1031 exchange.
Ah, that's a great point. And talking to an intermediary who's going to be holding that money for you can help as well because they know
Correct.
all the ins and outs. They know all the
Yes,
details and they're true experts with it. That
correct.
is fantastic. So if you have an investment property and you're exploring the idea of maybe selling that, but you want to invest in something else, talking to someone who's an expert with 1031 exchanges like Kathy is really important because that can minimize your tax implications and allow you to shelter much more of that money into the next property. So that's fantastic. Well, Kathy, thank you so much for joining us. Before I let you go today, I want you to be able to share how people can get in touch with you if they like. Is there a best phone number for you, an email address? What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yes, so I'm here with the Coldwell Banker office in downtown Winter Park. You can reach me anytime on my mobile number at 407-489-3921. And please go to my website at Coldwell Banker Realty, which I think you will also list on this podcast, I believe.
Yep, we'll promote that for you. Absolutely, absolutely.
So please come to downtown Winter Park. I'd love to have a cup of coffee or tea and show you around this beautiful city and help you decide if this is a place that you might want to live.
That's fantastic. Yes, definitely visit Winter Park because it is fabulous. The little downtown is so cute. Great restaurants and shops. So definitely head out there and contact Kathy. Let her know, and she'll be delighted to help with that as well. So, Kathy, once again, thank you so much for joining us. We've been chatting with Cathy Sawruk Williams, everybody, broker associate with Coldwell Banker. Kathy, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Kyle.
My pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Real Estate on the Up. As we conclude another eye-opening episode of Real Estate on the Up, I want to express my appreciation for joining us. Thank you for being a valuable part of the Real Estate on the Up community. Your time and engagement mean the world, so make sure you subscribe and leave a review. Your real estate goals are my priority, and my team and I are here to provide the personalized attention and service that have earned us high recognition. If you have questions, need guidance, or are ready to make a move, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm just a message away. I'm Kyle Madorin, one of Rate My Agent's top 100 in the United States, signing off. Until next time, take care and make those real estate dreams a reality.